looking for a really fun rainbow themed cake, this week I'm going to be showing you how to make this polka dot rainbow with these 3D clouds, and also how to add shimmery text onto the front of your cakes. Okay, let's get started. So the thing I'm going to start with is the rainbow. So I've got 6 small balls of gum paste. Now I'm using gum paste for my rainbow just because we want it to stand up and keep that arch shape. Now if you don't have any gum paste or modelling paste, you could add some tylose powder to your fondant, and this will do the same thing. Just allow it to firm up a lot quicker than fondant would on its own. Now for my rainbow I'm going to do 6 different colours, and I'm not keeping with a traditional rainbow, so you can do these in any colours you like. And the thing to remember with food gels is the less you add in, the more pale colour you're going to get. Now, one of the balls of my gum paste I'm keeping white, and the reason for this is I'm going to add on some black polka dots, but you can colour this in a solid colour if you would prefer. Now I'm going to start with my yellow, so I'm going to wrap the rest of my gum paste in cling film so that it doesn't dry out. Now my rainbow is going to be going on the top of a 6-inch cake, so I'm going to be using the smallest of my round circle cookie cutters to form my rainbow round. Now this one measures 2 inches across. Each of my rainbow strands is going to be around 1/2 centimetre in diameter. Now if you didn't want to create such a large rainbow, you just want something circular, so you could use the bottom of some larger piping tips. You just want something that you can form your rainbow round to give you that curved arch shape. Now to roll out our gum paste, or if you've got your fondant with your tylose powder, into nice thin sausage shapes which are the same diameter all the way along, there are a few options. The first one is to use an extruder gun. Now extruder guns come with different size discs that you can fit in the end. So on this one I just have this large circle. So all you would do, take your gum paste, fit that into your extruder gun, and then if you just pump that handle, you're going to get a nice thin strand, and then when you come to the end you can just trim that off. Now another option if you don't have an extruder gun is to use just a smoothing paddle that you would use on the side of your cake for smoothing down fondant. Start just rolling that into a sausage shape. So just using your paddle to go over the top, just running it back and forward, applying a small amount of pressure, you get a thin strand which is the same diameter all the way along. And you can stop when you get to the thickness that you want. Once you've got your first strand, I'm going to bring in my circle cutter and I'm just going to wrap that, and you want the 2 ends just to come straight down, and then pop that to one side, and I'm going to do exactly the same to create my next strand, which is going to be a purple strand. Now if you are using an extruder gun, just make sure you get rid of any of the previous colour and just run over the top before you attach it to your rainbow, just getting out any marks. I'm then going to use a small amount of edible glue, just wrapping that around, and again making sure that the 2 ends are coming down straight. And I'm going to continue doing all of my colours. And you can choose whatever colours you want for your rainbow, and you can go as bright as you like depending on the theme of your cake. Now before this dries, using a sharp knife, and I want to trim it down so it's slightly longer than I want it to be. This is going to give me a little bit extra of my rainbow, so that when I add the clouds, the rainbow is going to come out of the top. Now before I leave that rainbow to dry, I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to attach it into my cake. So I've got 4 cocktail sticks, and I'm going to push those, the pink and the yellow, and I'm just trying to push that up as far as I can. So going into that rainbow a few centimetres before it starts to curve round. So we're now going to be able to secure it onto our cake. I'm going to leave my circle cookie cutter inside and just pop it to one side until it has completely dried. Now for the fondant on the outside of my cake, just using the same raspberry colour splash that I used to make the pink on my rainbow, just adding a small amount just to give me this nice pastel shade. So I'm rolling this out and I'm going to be using this to cover my 6-inch cake. Now I will put a link in the description below to my vanilla sponge cake recipe and also a video showing how I cover my cakes with fondant in more detail. Now on the front of your cake you can personalise this with text, maybe a name or an age. I'm going to add party time on the front, and for this I'm going to use the SweetStamp set called Cutie Pie. So I'm just removing these from the tray, and you can use a piece of blue tack or a piece of fondant. You then want to create a stamp with your letters. So I've got the pickup pad, and first of all I'm going to take off this guide and I can start to lay out my letters. And then take my T and pop that underneath. Once you're happy with the layout, I'm then going to take the rest of my pickup pad. So this side just has a sticky section and just push down. This is going to attach those letters and it's just going to create a stamp that we can use on the front of our cake. So I've got my covered cake and I've got my stamp. Now one tip would be is if you are stamping letters into your cake, make sure you do it straight after you've covered your cake in fondant. If you do allow the fondant to dry, it's a lot harder to push the letters in. Now I'm going to take one of my smoothing paddles and just place this on the top of my cake just to give me something to hold on to as I push in my letters. And I'm going to do a rocking motion. So I'm going to pull the stamp back and just starting from one side, just rock that around the front of my cake, embossing those letters. Now, if you do have any letters you want to push in a little bit more, I'm just going to go in and just make that a little bit deeper. Now, where we've got the space for the T, I've just picked up the T on its own and I'm going to emboss that in. So there we have party time. Now on the front of the cake I'm going to paint this in gold just to complement the pink, but you can paint this in any colour you like. Now I'm going to be using some of the Glamorous Gold Luster Dust, and this one is by Sweet Sticks. Now if you saw last week's video where I added shimmer to my cakes, you would have seen me do the same technique. So I'm just going to add to this some dipping solution, or if you've got some alcohol like vodka, or you can use lemon juice. And if I mix that up, that's just going to create this shimmery gold edible paint. I'm going in with a thin brush, and this is one by SweetStamp, and just carefully painting in those letters. Now as the dipping solution evaporates, that gold is just going to dry on your cake and give you a nice finish. Now I'm using the Cutie Pie set, but SweetStamps do have so many different styles of letter sets, so there's always one that will go with the theme of your cake. Now I do also have a 10% off discount code for SweetStamp. All you have to do is go onto their website and enter Cakes by Linz at the checkout, and I will put all the details in the description below the video. I can now transfer my cake onto my cake board, and for the cake board I'm just using a 10-inch white masonite board. I'm then going to finish off around that bottom edge with a piece of white ribbon. There we have our cake so far. The next thing to do is to finish off our rainbow and to work on some clouds. So I've got my rainbow, and this has been sitting for around 2 hours. So if I take away that circle cutter and pick it up, you can see that it's holding its shape. Now I want to add some black polka dots to the white. So for this I'm going to be using the SweetStamp texture tools. These just have little balls on the end, and these are great for adding polka dots. Now if you don't have these, you could use just a really small brush. Now you want to use some black edible paint, or if you've got some food gel, I'm going to mix a tiny bit of that with some dipping solution. I can then dip the end of that mini ball tool, and I'm just going to start by adding some polka dots. And you can do the polka dots any size you want. Now I'm going to clean off the end of my texture tool and take some of the white edible art paint by Sweet Sticks. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but I'm going to put white polka dots on my purple, and I'm just going to let that dry. For my clouds, I'm going to have some clouds on the board and then some clouds around my rainbow. So I'm going to start with the clouds for my board. What I want to do is take some white fondant, and I'm going to break off some small pieces of this and just roll those into a ball. So you want balls of all different sizes, and I'm just sticking those together, and we just want to make these look like a cloud. And if you're finding these are sticking, then you can just pop down a small amount of corn flour. I'm then going to take a larger ball of my fondant and just roll this out until it's really thin. So it's around 1 millimeter in thickness. I'm then going to take some edible glue and just paint that over the top. And if you imagine covering a cake, so I'm going to do exactly the same. So just drape that over the top, pushing it around those balls. Take just my Dresden tool, so the wider end, running it around, defining some of those areas. I'm then going to take my craft knife and run around the edge, just leaving around 1/2 centimeter. Flip that over and just carefully pull that excess in, just pushing it underneath, which is going to give us a nice finish on the other side. And that's going to give the appearance of this really pretty fluffy cloud. And you can do them in any sizes. So I'm going to make a few of those to go on the board around the cake. And you can stick these down with some edible glue. I then want to attach my rainbow, and I can start working on the clouds that are going to go at the bottom. And you want to make sure that your rainbow is nice and firm and is holding its shape before you push it into the cake. So I want to add some clouds around the base of my rainbow. So first of all, I've got a piece of parchment paper and I've just cut out a slit so that I can slide that next to my rainbow so none of my fondant is going to stick. I'm then going to just take some balls, just as I did with the clouds on the bottom, and just build that up. So I'm going to do the front first and then go in on the back. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just start building up my clouds. Now these balls can be any size. And once you're happy with how that's looking so far, I'm going to slide off that parchment paper. So here we have our 2 clouds, and then with a rolled out piece of fondant, just place that over the top. Just doing exactly the same as we did with the clouds on the board, but these ones are going to fit around our rainbow. Now, because I can see where my rainbow is going to slot inside, I'm going to make a few extra ones just for the back so it can wrap around. So there we have our clouds that are going to fit around our rainbow. So I'm going to take my clouds and I can just wrap those around the front. I can then turn that round onto the back, and where I've got those extra clouds that I created, I can just slot those in. Now to finish off the cake, I've got some sprinkles, and I've chosen the Pastel Vibe sprinkles, and these ones are by Happy Sprinkles. You can see we've got these really pretty tiny little pink stars, some larger stars in pink and white. So with some edible glue, I'm going to take some of those stars and just stick those to the clouds. So here we have the finished polka dot rainbow cake. Now I've added polka dots, but you can make your rainbow any colour you like. I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial and will be able to use some of these techniques in your own cake decorating. If you have enjoyed the video, as always, don't forget to give it a like. And if you'd like to see more videos like this and you haven't already, then don't forget to subscribe to the Cakes by Ninja YouTube channel. You can also hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button, and this will just alert you every time we upload a new video. Now I will put a list of all the tools that I've used throughout today's video in the description below. So until next time, bye!